Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like Diamonds.
Hello, everyone. Joe Simons, Like Diamonds. Cool story to share here. I had a full-time fishing guide, someone who is well-known, well-respected, reached out to me via phone. I'm not allowed to share his name. That was kind of one promise. I'm going to call him a closet Salt Strong fan, someone you might not know that would even be a fan or remember. And he called me to say, hey, man, this app is sick. He's like, I used to kind of poo-poo on it, and I'm talking about Smart Fishing Spots. Because he's like, saw some of your ads, and I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. And he's like, it literally has replaced all of my ads. And he's like, I'm now even using it for waypoints. And one of the things he called to let me know about was he went down to the Keys and the Bahamas this summer, and doing some lobster and some diving and spearfishing down in the Bahamas. And he's like, I'm literally using your app. He's like, did you know how well it works like in the Keys and the Bahamas, like that 4K? He's like, I'm literally finding some little ledges and some reefs that I did not know about. And he's like, I've been going down there since I was a kid. And he goes, I literally found some new lobster spots and some new places to spear fish with your contour lines in the 4K. In particular, he's like, the 4K satellite, he's like, even in the Bahamas is like the best thing I've ever seen. It's like better than any of my expensive, equipment. There's Garmin and stuff. And I was like, dude, that's so cool. And so we ended up chatting for a while. And he's just like, yeah, I'm telling like all my clients that are, serious about fishing, if they're down from New York and that, they only fish once a year with a guide, he's like, not going to help them. But he's like, anyone who's really into fishing, I'm telling everyone about this app and the club. He's like, just fantastic job. And we ended up talking about some other cool things that we're adding on to it. And so if you're one of our amazing listeners, you'll get to hear about it before anyone else. But we recently put a post in the insider community and said, hey, guys, if there is essentially no boundaries, like we could do anything, what would you want next with the app? And we heard some things about like, hey, if you could use, kind of AI for like fishing reports and forecast. So we're working on that one, which is pretty cool. So that you could, let's just say you're going to fish Bradenton, Florida this coming weekend, that you could hit a button and show like even where you're going to be, and it's going to pull up all of that data, meaning it's going to know, like, obviously you can only go so far in advance, but if it's assuming it's within a week, we're going to have an idea what the weather is going to be like. We'll have an idea what the wind is going to be like. And obviously the closer you are, the better it gets, right? Any kind of forecast. And it's going to pull that data and then pull in all the resources, both historical and even some of the things that we have to really project what is going to happen in the future with fish bites and moon phases and all that, and actually tell you essentially a forecast on what type of area you should be focused on, the depth, what kind of lures to use. I mean, really, really cool stuff that I don't think anyone has done yet that I've seen out there using some artificial intelligence. So really pumped on that. The other one, though, was water temperature. That was probably one of the top requested things was, man, it'd be really nice to see what the water temps are. And so we've been looking at that for a long time. It's tough, obviously, in the inshore waterways, especially as you get closer to inlets and passes. I mean, you got a ton of water, massive amounts of water moving in and out of these inlets and passes, and it changes the temperature big time. And of course, when you got some areas that are only a foot deep, and then, just 100 yards over, it could be 17 feet deep in a channel. So it's really tough, to know the water temperature. And obviously you're never going to know it for every foot of depth, but you could at least have surface temperature. So working on that as well. And he's like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. So anyhow, just wanted to share that with you. That was really cool to hear from this guide who calls himself a closet Salt Strong fan, and is once again paying for the app as a full-time fishing guide that has been doing it for many, many years, and is a pretty highly respected person. I once again, I do not have permission to use his name But I do have permission to share the story. So I thought that was pretty cool. And if you do happen to be lobster or even fishing, grouper, snapper, check out Smart Fishing Spots. Really, really cool intel there on the contour lines, that 4K satellite, and the 3D, that kind of the 3D shade relief. He's like, I'm finding some pretty sick spots using that as well that he did not know about. So now on to the main podcast. It's this AE. I don't know if you remember, you should already have this, by the way. It was I don't know, I'm looking at it here, 17-page PDF we put together called the AE Fish Finder Method. And it was just different secrets to unlock redfish and trout spots. And it all goes back to finding that 90-10 zone, right? So hopefully you know what this is. If not, I'll reiterate it, but it's 90% of all the feeding fish can be found at 10% of any body of water at any given day, tide, etc. And we've taken drones up. Paul Johnson, at the Scientific Angler, has shared, and he's probably spent more time underwater studying fish habitats than anyone. And wrote probably one of the most popular books on bass fishing. And he's like, it's the 90-10 zone everywhere I go. Any lake, any stream, any body of water, 90% of all the fish are congregated in these really small spots. He's like, so the goal is to find that 90-10 zone. And so we wrote this little PDF, like ebook, that you should go get. If you remember, it's in the cheat sheet area called the AE Fish Finder Method. But this is just a great reminder of the things to always be thinking about, both on the water and as you're doing your pre-trip planning using Smart Fishing Spots. And the AE means A through E. So we try to keep it simple. And A means for ambush, right? And really you're looking for areas that give a predator fish an opportunity to ambush bait. And that just means structure, right? Oyster bars, probably one thing that we all have. Docks is another one that pretty much every area, regardless if you're in Texas or Florida, North Carolina, most all of us are going to have areas where there's some docks. Great form of structure. That's an ambush spot. That's just once again, A for ambush. Oysters is another one. So I'm not going to go into the full details. You need to get the book. And obviously, if you've got Smart Fishing Spots, you can do that really easily. And you can even find which docks are the deepest. Because usually the deeper the dock, it just gives more area for ambush. And especially if you have oysters or any other type of structure, grass, etc., near that dock, holy smokes, that's the dock you want to be fishing. So A is for ambush. Just always remember, if you don't have areas, like if you're just fishing this open sand flat and there's nowhere for fish to be hiding or to ambush other bait, there's probably not going to be many fish there or any fish there. And number 2 is bait. So the B in the A through E method means bait. So if you're ever having a tough time catching fish or getting skunked, start just going through these mentally. This is what Luke and I do every time we're fishing. This is what most captains do, is like, all right, am I in a spot with ambush? Am I seeing bait? If there's no bait, there's no predator fish, or it's very, very rare. Predator fish like to be around a food source. And that doesn't always mean that every time you find bait, there's going to be a ton of predators. There are times where schools of mullet are by themselves without anything else. There's times when schools of whitebait or don't have that many predators around them. But in general, if you find a lot of bait, there's a really high chance there's predator fish. And if you're in an area with absolutely zero signs of bait, it also means there's probably a lower chance that there's a lot of fish. So that's one thing that we're just laser focused on, even as we're going out to the spot that we've already picked through Smart Fishing Spots. We do our pre-trip plans. We usually have a plan of, here's the handful of spots we're going to fish. But even on our way there, we're constantly looking for mullet jumping, for any signs of birds diving in the morning or any signs of bait. It's critical. And many times we'll stop and fish those areas before we can get to our spot if we see a lot of bait activity. Number 3 in the AE. So A, ambush, B, bait. 3 for C is current. Current flow, some water movement equals happy and hungry fish. And in general, predator fish are lazy. I mean, they're no different than humans. We don't want to work that hard for our food. It's a reason fast food has become so popular, right? It's a reason we have so many restaurants and places to get quick and easy food. It's even the reason that the Publixes and HEBs and Kroger's, depending on where you live, it's a reason they have so many pre-made meals, stuff you just put in the microwave for a second. We don't want to work that hard. Fish are no different. And what current does is it brings food to them, right? I mean, fish can stay, let's just say, behind bridge pilings or dock pilings and just wait for that food, for these crustaceans and bait fish to get pushed out by the current right into their chompers. So current flow is critical, and that's what you even see on our smart fishing tides and the feeding level projections. Many times, some of the best, not all the time, many times the best or the highest rated feeding level projections are around times where you got really good current flow, and that could be done. Moon phases, go into that. There's a couple different little variables, but in general, you want current flow. You do not want to be fishing at the slack tide. Okay. Next one, D, is depth. And really what that means is depth changes. So fish, as we talked about earlier, they want ambush spots. And depth is a type of ambush spot. I mean, a quick change in depth can be essentially a form of structure. And especially like in the different seasons, let's just take summer. While I'm recording this here, late summer, it's hot. And fish don't want to be in boiling hot water. They're cold-blooded, right? And that doesn't mean they won't go up in there if there's a ton of bait, but even the bait in general doesn't want to be in boiling hot water. So what you'll find many times, let's just use the summer example, is in the morning, these fish will push up in the shallows because the water still hasn't been boiling yet because the sun hasn't been out, right? It cools down a little bit at nighttime. And they will go up shallow. But as soon as that sun starts coming up, they're going to start going down deeper. And they don't want to have to travel a mile. Once again, they're kind of lazy. They don't want to have to travel a mile to find deeper, cooler water. The quicker they can find it, they're going to like that area. And if there's bait around, they're going to absolutely love those type of areas. So with the 1 foot contour lines, one of the coolest things I've seen to find those kind of spots, because the contour lines, you can look at them and instantly know the best type of spots. You're looking for areas that have really close lines. The closer the line, the quicker the 1 foot drop off. So if you're seeing lines that are really far spread out, that in general means that that's probably not going to be a great depth change. But if you're seeing areas that have flats and they get all of a sudden 10 feet in a really short amount of time, you want to mark those and make sure you're marking those waypoints in the app as well. That's such a great way to do it. I got a lot of mine saved. Luke has a ton of his saved, and that's just a quick way we can go see anywhere we are. Like, oh, cool. Yeah, here's some of the spots we've marked. It saves so much time. So D is for depth. E, this is a unique one. It's for egrets. That is one of those things that on the water, obviously you can't pre-trip plan for this, but once you're on the water, if you're seeing those white egrets, and so many guides have mentioned this as well, like those are some of their best spots. Egrets are, and you know what I'm talking about, right? Like that white tall egret. And this is kind of any bird, but the white egret, for whatever reason, that is just a dead giveaway that there are some fish nearby. Egrets don't sit there just to hang out. When you see them on a shoreline, on a flat, near an oyster bar, near a mangrove line, near a dock, whatever it is, they're in feeding mode, and they're super stealthy. They go super slow, and they are feeding, and they're usually feeding on bait fish, right, or crustaceans, and that means there's usually some other fish around. So anytime you see the old white egret, and many guides have said this, that usually means, and from them, like that's like a great redfish spot. So you see one, you see multiple that are feeding, definitely stop there. And if it's too shallow, you can't get up there, mark it as a waypoint and come back at high tide. So that is the A through E. There is a bonus one that we put in there, and it's the F word. And no, I'm not getting nasty here on you. The F word is friends, and AKA a network. To me, that is the secret sauce. And, we have some guides like the one I mentioned to you has done a lot of tournaments, and he does fish in some tournaments, even out of state. And he's like, man, it's all about the network. It's all about who you know. Especially if you're going to a whole new state and having to compete for money against people who live there. He's like, you have to have a network of friends. You have to have things like the insider community. And so I would urge you, if you don't have a big friend network that you can get intel from, join us in the Insider Club. If you're already a member, use that community. And that's where Luke and I are going. If we're going up to, fish Homosassa or a different area, or up in Jacksonville, the first thing we're doing is going to the community to see what people are catching up there. There is so much intel there. There's so many helpful anglers in our community that that network is really kind of like a secret sauce. So use it. And obviously, it's a give and take, meaning we encourage everyone to share as well, not just take. So if you do have success, share what's working in your areas as well. Just such a great way to really get good fast and to always know what's happening in any area. And that's what all the guides do, right? If you've ever been with a guide on a guided trip many times, you either watch them texting, or they might have a radio, or they might even get on the phone and talking to a group of friends like, hey man, what are you guys seeing over here? You have any luck over here? It's all about the network. It's the network effect. And they work together like that. So that is the AE method. Hopefully it's helpful. You can see the whole thing, and it goes into detail and shows tons of pictures in this 17-page PDF. Completely free for Insider members. You're not a member, what the heck are you waiting on? Come join us today in the club. Get access to smart fishing spots and the fishing school and just all the amazing people in the community. Of course, the tackle discounts and all the other things that our members love. So appreciate you guys so much. Hopefully this was helpful. I had a few people asking about this AE method, and just wanted to share it on the podcast. Until next time. Otherwise, go to saltstrong.com or community.saltstrong.com and make a post in the community, see what's going on, and hit us up too on anything you guys want to see next. We love the feedback. Talk to you soon. 'Cause fishing, it's in my soul. It was passed down to me from the days of old. You'll find us on the water if there was a way. Said my papa, he wrote the book on catching big reds and 20-pound snook. I wish I knew all the things he knew today, for he's the reason why we are this way, and he put fishing in our soul.